Matt Ryan a lot higher than people think, and Brady not on my list.
What?
Kim's looking out.
What?
Kim.
Not on top 12?
We'll get into it from a fantasy perspective.
Tough grader, Kay.
We have to check in with Will.
Yes, we do.
Let's do it.
Words
Wow,
I never
that's a
thought I would
tease.
say. Good morning, Will Silva.
Good morning, Kim Jones. Love having you on the show. Welcome, welcome. And I know that we've had our breaking news situation, so it's great to have you on.
Yes.
Just casually talking on the program. So that is
You've been through a war
Hey,
together.
Yes, they've been memorable segments, all of them, every
Yes,
one.
they have. Exactly. All right. Thank you, Kim, Kay, and D'Angelo. Let's get to some news here. And the Falcons keep crossing items off their to-do list. They signed defensive tackle Grady Jarrett to a 4-year, $68 million deal. This left them with two other priorities, however, linebacker Deion Jones and wide receiver Julio Jones. The latter will have to wait a little while longer for a new contract. That's because Deion Jones inking a 4-year, $57 million extension with $34 million guarantee. This according to NFL Network insider Ian Rappaport. Jones is now the second highest paid off-ball linebacker in the NFL per over the cap. He's led the team in tackles in 2 of the past 3 seasons. Now Atlanta will put its attention on inking the other Jones, Julio. Meanwhile, Broncos rookie quarterback Drew Lock agreeing to terms on his rookie deal, as reported by NFL Network's James Palmer. Now, according to James, the contract will not include a quarterback premium. Lock's agent reportedly asked for more guaranteed money than his second-round slot would normally get. Sticking with the Broncos, since arriving in Denver, head coach Vic Fangio has been effusive in his praise of Von Miller, going so far as comparing him to other players he's coached before, guys like Hall of Famer Ray Lewis and Khalil Mack. But Fangio thinks Miller can be even better.
I think he's got more to give. I think we can make him be a better player. He's got to make himself be a better player. Let me rephrase that, with us guiding him and being a resource for him. I think he has more in him, that he can even be better and better. He's a guy that, should be in the mention for, Player of the Year awards and stuff like that. But if we can get him to improve, to do all the little things correctly, and not that he hasn't in the past, but improve it, and just become a little bit better. What a guy with his talent level, a little bit ends up being a lot. So very excited. Loved working with him up to this point. He's been very receptive, and I'm looking forward to the season with him.
I would imagine a little bit better is what he wants to get out of Von Miller. I can't even possibly imagine unleashing him in Vic Fangio's defense. Get out of here. I think the guys like Patrick Mahomes and the like are going to have to be on high alert to see that happening. Yeah.
It's terrifying. My heart's still a little hurt when I see him in that Broncos uniform, leaving Chicago and the impact he had on that defense there. We'll see if it carries over to the AFC West. Will Silva, we love you. We'll talk to you in a bit. Time for another edition of What Happens First. Here's how it works, Kim and D'Angelo. I give you both, that chicken and the eggs?
Yeah.
That's weird. 2 scenarios. You tell me which one happens first, and let's peg it off of that Vic Fangio sound, because Von Miller has notched double-digit sacks in 7 of his 8 seasons in the NFL. What happens first? Miller has 15 sacks this year, or Santa comes and eats the cookies under the tree?
I'm going to buy the
You're
15
into it.
sacks. Yep, I am. With Fangio, what he did with Khalil Mack last season, I just think that defense will be energized. Von Miller, I'm sure, is, right? Any competitor like that, with that kind of a head coaching change and everything else, tends to be energized, and maybe they even need that at some point in their careers. So I'm buying the sacks. How's that?
Love it.
Me too. I'm all for it. I think Von Miller gets his 15 sacks before Christmas. I had to do some research. Christmas falls right in between week 16 and 17. So you best believe Von gonna have at least 15 sacks by then. But you hear Vic Fangio, the passion in his voice when he talks about Von Miller. Vic Fangio has been around some really good pass rushers, and he knows when you have a talented player like a Von Miller and he buys into what you're selling as a coach, every other guy in that locker room buys into it as well. So you can tell in hearing Vic Fangio talk that Von Miller has bought into what he's selling as a coach, as a head coach, as a defensive guy who I've heard is one of the best schemers when it comes to scheming his opposing offenses that he's going against. That's what I think the key is going to be to this Broncos defense. It's going to be Vic Fangio in the lab with his coordinator coming up with these defensive game plans, and I think that's how they're going to win football games. I heard John Lynch say, I'm sorry, not John Lynch, I heard John Elway say that they feel as though they found their quarterback, but they're going to win games because of that defense.
Got to get it better. Hopefully Fangio does that. You were researching when Christmas is. I was researching those pass rushers that you mentioned. Listen, not only Khalil Mack, as you mentioned. Remember that 19.5 sack season from Aldon Smith?
Oh, yeah.
That was with Fangio. Suggs, Kevin Green, Ricky Jackson, Hall of Famer with the Saints. Those are the kind of players with that kind of pedigree doing those little things that even him saying those little, like in my head, what does Von Miller actually have to improve on? But Von Miller already is self-motivated. He's already a leader for the other pass rushers. He holds that camp in the offseason to help everybody work, maybe on the big things. So if he's got all of that going on, I think he could have a 20-sack season the way he's sounding.
And I liked when Vic Fangio mentioned the whole little things, Kay. I like that. And he said, with a guy like that, little things mean a lot.
Yeah.
And that is what separates people in your league, isn't it?
Absolutely. It could be so little and minute of a detail as if, he sees Von puts too much pressure on this hand when he knows he's rushing versus dropping or has a stunt inside. It's those little things that Vic Fangio has seen in Aldon and seen in Khalil Mack and all these other guys that he's now able to show Von Miller that these are things that I was never even thinking about in my game.
Yeah, so Jimmy Garoppolo and
they better watch out.
They should be a little sad.
They better
this
watch
morning.
out, yes.
Let's talk about Garoppolo. Although Niners quarterback Jimmy G entering his third season as a signal caller of the Niners, he still remembers his early days with TB12 pretty well. Yeah, he's got a couple super rings to show for it. Here's what he told The Ringer about his time with the 6-time Super Bowl champ. Quote, the preparation as a whole was tremendous, just to see it, to be in the same room as it, to learn from it, to be a rookie, and see that it was invaluable. I can barely put it into words. What you learn is playing the game within the game. That is a big part of Tom. What happens first? The Niners make the playoffs, or the Patriots reach another Super Bowl? I'll start off here and say I think it's a Super Bowl for them, because last year when they beat the Rams, I didn't feel like at any point in that game, and I was there and I was in the aftermath of it all, that it was his last time. I didn't have that swan song, I feel accomplished and ready to leave. I don't think it was the last time that they make it to the Super Bowl. Maybe the last time he won one. I just can't wrap my head around it. For Gronk, even though he hadn't retired, I knew that 29-yard catch, that was it. He's going to walk off. That was his last game. I don't feel like that with Tom Brady. I think he makes it back this year.
I'm saying Patriots Super Bowl again, too. And for me, it has more to do with the division that the 49ers are in and trying to make the playoffs and just the uphill battle that they have. And, Jimmy G having not played a lot of football the last, I feel like 2 years with the injury. And, he just doesn't quite look like who we thought we were going to see. And so for me,
though.
I know, I love Kyle. That's my guy. But I have to go with what I think is the constant. Like, if this is the stock market, I'm going with the most consistent seller that is, and that's the New England Patriots.
You two nailed it. It's unanimous. I'm not guessing against them. I'm not picking against them, I should say.
But but we don't know what Kyler Murray's going to be. We don't know. I mean, seriously, the Rams, you know how hard it is to make it back again? Right. Gurley is a huge question mark. It could happen because they're fully healthy right now, this Niners team, and their defense sneakily I love. Last weekend, Chiefs quarterback showed off his tremendous arm strength. Did you guys see this?
I didn't.
No, I did not see this.
Throwing the ball out of Arrowhead Stadium. Well, now he's doing this. Tossing shorter passes, but at a much more exotic location. This is Mahomes on the beach. Is that Travis Kelce? Killer Trav? Is that him? Demarcus Robinson's out there as well. Life is so hard for these guys.
Oh, my goodness.
So hard. What happens first? Kim, Mahomes wins the second MVP. Back-to-back. It doesn't happen very often. Or the Raiders move to Vegas.
I'm going to bet on Mahomes. I love his game. Now, you have to tell me when Tyreek Hill's coming back and if he's coming back and his status. But I think that Mahomes, how can you watch that arm talent and the way he learned? We all know how he learned under Alex Smith and, of course, Andy Reid, and how he took all of that in and processed it and what he became last season. I don't see him taking a step back in the sand or wherever the heck he's throwing a football.
But the field is loaded, and back-to-back doesn't happen. Brett Favre, of course, did it, but he did it in a time when Elway, Marino, Montana, they were done. Manning wasn't in the league yet, so he had a nice sweet spot to win those back-to-backs. I just feel like it doesn't happen. It would be a tremendous season for him to do it.
No doubt.
I just don't know if he can go back-to-back either. I think he'll be successful next season, but what he did last year was magical. And even then, it was a little bit of question marks like, hey, you know, do you give it to him? I'm like, you got to give it to him. He got 50 touchdowns. What do you mean? So I'm picking the Raiders go to Vegas.
Don't we all think that we don't want him to throw 50 touchdowns again this year? Like, throw 40, 45. Let the
He makes it look too easy.
Kim's like, let's go 55.
I'm throwing on one left hand.
Or
that we could see.
Yeah.
Hey, Patrick, your no-look pass was not good enough for Kim Jones. You need to
take it to the house.
Go to the moon and throw balls around next after all that you've been doing this offseason. All right, Matt Ryan, I trust him as my fantasy quarterback. Totally.
Oh, I can't wait.
1,000%. He's my guy. He's not the number one guy. Mahomes is the number one. But I love Matt Ryan. I'll tell you why. And Baker Mayfield throws a little shade at New York. I mean, Kim, I'm just going to leave studio and let you go.
He throws shade.
I might surprise you guys.
Really?
I might.